We need a league of our own. We need a league built around Caitlin.
What if Caitlin Clark, the WNBA's biggest star, just up and left? The league, which has leaned on her to bring in fans and cash, could face a total collapse. People are already talking rumors flying everywhere. Could the WNBA even survive without her?
Like, with the growing popularity of the WNBA and with players able to, make money off brand deals and this and that and their celebrity rising, there could be a world where more of these private-owned EuroLeague teams, I could see some of these teams going after some of our star players in the WNBA. And if the money makes sense, if the business aspect makes sense, we could lose more players to playing over.
Empty arenas, bad TV ratings, you name it. If Clark really walks away, it might spell disaster for the whole league. Today, we're looking at just how bad things could get without her. Spoiler alert, it's not looking good. So yeah, hold on tight, this could get real messy real fast.
Storm. Now, it's not out of the norm for WNBA players to play during the regular season and then during their off-season play overseas. This is something that has been happening for the entirety of the WNBA. It even went as far as to 1 year in 2015, Diana Taurasi played in Russia and did not play in the WNBA. And it was never outright stated that she didn't play in the WNBA because Russia basically put that in their contract, that if she went there, she couldn't play. But that was pretty much what everybody thought happened because Russia paid Diana Taurasi at that time $1.5 million salary to play in Russia.
The WNBA had been struggling financially for years, operating largely in the shadows of men's sports. Attendance was low, games were barely mentioned on major networks, and sponsorships weren't exactly flooding in. That all changed when Caitlin Clark stepped onto the scene. Suddenly, people who had never watched WNBA game before were tuning in. Her name became synonymous with excitement, and her impact on the court brought the league something it hadn't seen in a long time: buzz. Attendance at Indiana Fever games skyrocketed, with a whopping 265% increase in ticket sales. Merchandise sales, particularly her jersey, saw a jump of over 1,000%.
It has been a growing league, and it has gotten better definitely over the years. I feel like the 90s, it peaked for a bit, and then it went down and up, and it went down a little bit more from COVID, and now it has been slowly growing again until, obviously, like we've covered in the Clarkonomics video, there was a huge boom this season. There was a huge boom in merchandise and television viewership and sold out arenas and all of these things, which I feel like the WNBA could have capitalized on it even more, and if there wasn't so much drama in the league.
It wasn't just Indiana benefiting either. Teams like Las Vegas and Atlanta even had to move their games to larger arenas just to accommodate the flood of fans wanting to see Clark play. The Fever games went from having mostly empty seats to packed arenas, giving the WNBA the energy it desperately needed. On TV, the numbers were just as wild. Clark's first playoff game pulled in over 2 million viewers, a figure that hadn't been seen in on-prod broadcast for more than 2 decades.
We have seen that boom. So with that, more money should come and these players should be able to make more money. With that, we also saw a video this week about how Caitlin Clark actually was advocating for actually not even her own teammates, but for other teams' players because of all of the eyeballs that the Indiana Fever were bringing in. So let's look at this.
The media frenzy surrounding her wasn't just about her skills on the court. It was the fact that she represented a shift in how people viewed the league. Clark wasn't just bringing attention, she was bringing financial stability to a league that had always been on the brink of collapse.
Caitlin Clark, when we would go to away games, they always sold out. Unbelievable. So Atlanta would normally have 3,000, 4,000 people. Now they have 17,000 people, and they sold 1,000 standing room only tickets. So when we walked into the arena, people were on that third balcony looking down at the tops of our players' heads to watch. I mean, it's really hard to take in. After a few away games and all of the sellouts, Caitlin asked the WNBA if they would pay spot bonuses to the away team players. She said, wow, we're making all this new revenue, and I would like the away team to benefit from that. Could they get a spot bonus? So that's the heart of Caitlin Clark.
Now imagine what would happen if Caitlin Clark decided to leave the WNBA. It's a scenario that the league would dread, but it's also one that fans can't ignore. The truth is, If things continue as they are, low salaries, lack of support, and missed opportunities, it's not unthinkable that Clark could seek better opportunities elsewhere. Her departure wouldn't just be a blow to her team, it would be catastrophic for the entire league. We've already seen the ripple effect one player can have. When Clark joined the Fever, ticket sales went through the roof, merchandise was flying off the shelves, and TV ratings surged. But if she were to exit, all those gains could vanish just as quickly as they came.
Yet all of these eyeballs were coming to the league because of her. The Indiana Fever was turning away games into home games every single time that they were on the road. You even had Dallas Wings players saying, like, it kind of sucks seeing so many Indiana Fever in 2020 or 22 jerseys in the stands, but it's also cool to see a lot of people in the stands. Like, Indiana Fever was turning away games into home games, and so it's kind of sad that through all of that, Caitlin was still advocating for players on the other team to get bonuses because she saw the kind of money and eyeballs and viewership that all of this was generating. And
remember, before Clark's arrival, the WNBA was losing millions each year. The league has reportedly lost up to $50 million annually, so Clark's presence single-handedly helped offset those financial woes. But if she leaves, the WNBA would likely face the same problems, or worse. It's not just the immediate drop in revenue that would hurt. Sponsors who jumped on the Clark bandwagon might reconsider their investments. The attendance records in sold-out arenas would become a distant memory.
WNBA has been a mess this year. It has been so unprofessional, and they need to step it up, and they need to step it up quick.
Players already earning significantly less than their male counterparts might start looking for opportunities elsewhere, with some potentially moving overseas where salaries are higher. The WNBA can't afford to lose its biggest star, because losing Clark means losing the momentum the league has finally built after years of trying. Player salaries in the WNBA have been a hot topic for years, and it's not hard to see why. Despite being professional athletes at the top of their game, many WNBA players are earning salaries that are nowhere near what their male counterparts in the NBA make. Even the league's top players struggle to make a comfortable living, which has forced many to look elsewhere for extra income. A prime example of this is former WNBA star Liz Cambage, who turned to OnlyFans in order to make ends meet.
WNBA superstar made waves this past week because she is now launching an OnlyFans. Back in April, she said, "The amount of money I could be making off of OnlyFans is crazy," she told Chris Johnson Hoops on Instagram. "What am I doing sitting?"
Liz Cambage, at the height of her career, was one of the most recognizable names in women's basketball, standing 6'8" and dominating on the court. She was a key player, yet her WNBA salary wasn't enough to sustain her lifestyle.
WNBA ain't paying like that.
I feel
she's
morally,
still in the WNBA?
Yeah,
she's still there?
Yeah, she's still in the WNBA.
WNBA ain't paying.
Yeah, I mean, I give her props, I guess, as a hustler. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're trying to hustle, do your thing, whatever. But morally, shame on you.
Cambage made headlines when she stripped down to promote her OnlyFans account, a move that stunned the sports world. The fact that a top-tier athlete like Cambage had to rely on platforms like OnlyFans to boost her income highlights just how dire the financial situation in the WNBA can be.
So, yeah, she's made like $500,000 in her career in the WNBA. When you're making about which, don't get me wrong, getting paid $220 per year is still pretty nice. Not NBA nice, but still pretty decent. But when you're in that situation and you're in a public eye, you need to do whatever it takes to leverage your following into more business opportunities.
The league's pay structure simply isn't sustainable for long-term career building, and this pay gap could very well push even bigger stars, like Caitlin Clark, to seek better opportunities outside the WNBA. Analyst Jason Whitlock recently proposed the creation of a rival league in the U.S. led by none other than Caitlin Clark. His reasoning:
On October 31st, 2025. I believe their players, their union, has a chance to opt out of their CBA November 1st. Is that 22 days from now? Yeah, today's October 9th. 22 days from now. They can opt out of the CBA, which would mean it would...
Why not build a new league right here, offering better compensation and keeping top talent like Clark from having to look for opportunities abroad? Whitlock's bold idea is a direct challenge to the WNBA's current structure. He sees a league led by Clark as a way to elevate women's basketball to new heights, where players wouldn't have to rely on leagues outside the United States to make a quick buck.
25. That's next year. This is likely to happen. These WNBA players are irate about how much money they get paid. They all think they should be making LeBron James money. They certainly think, A'ja Wilson's the best player in that league. I think she makes around $225,000. They certainly want to make more money than that. Most people, I've read it everywhere, most people think they're going to opt out, and many people believe there's going to be a work stoppage over this money issue. A work stoppage.
The proposal taps into the broader issue of player salaries and the need for more lucrative options in the U.S. for female athletes. With Clark's star power and influence, such a league could potentially rival the NBA in both attention and financial viability. A new league spearheaded by Clark could offer better contracts and keep fans engaged year-round, rather than losing interest when players head overseas.
Life around taking a knee for every George Floyd drug addict in America. Have at it. Stay in the WNBA. Angel Reese, if you want to make $5-10 million a year playing basketball, join the XX League. Is your life going to be dedicated to making sure that George Floyd never happens again? And trust me, it will happen again as long as there's...
It's a thought-provoking concept that has the potential to shake up the landscape of women's basketball, offering players more stability and making the U.S. the center of the sport, not just a stepping stone to Europe. Could the league survive without Caitlin, or would a rival league truly change the landscape of women's basketball? With financial instability and low salaries pushing players elsewhere, something has to give. What do you think? Is it time for a new league, or can the NBA find a way to retain its top talent? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like this video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates on the latest in women's sports.